Today we're going to talk a little bit and wrap up our series here, This Is Us. And we're going to talk a little bit about family. And I've got some paper here and a pen.
Should be 3 pens up there.
Okay. Do me a favor, Nate, since you are already up. Come on up here, man. Can you take these sheets of paper and put them back on that table back there, okay? I'll explain in one moment. So Gena and I are going to talk a little bit of our story, right? Because that's important for us to share. If you haven't heard it, it's not as interesting as Randall Pearson's story or anything like that, but it's a little interesting. That's a reference to This Is Us if you've ever watched the show. If you haven't watched it, I can't blame you because I started watching it and fell asleep a couple of times. But anyways, I digress. So yeah, we're going to share a little bit of our story. And then if people have questions, I want you to jot down. There's some paper back there and some pens, and you just leave the questions on the table. And you can ask your questions, and we'll address that from there. Okay? So we're going to tell a little bit of our story about how we met and ended up getting married and have been married for a while. And I'm going to let y'all hear Gena's version this time. And if she leaves out any of the important stuff, I'm going to chime in. Okay, so Gena's going to start. And if she's honest, I ain't going to say nothing. But if she lying, like I did last week, then I'm going to interject. You know how it is. You know, when you're married or you've been together for a while, there's two different stories, right? You know, so we're going to see which story she's going to share here today. No, ladies first. No, by all means.
Your story. So what had happened was...
okay.
He came outside to say hi to me at his job, and he slipped under the front of the car, and my foot was on the brake while I was... And you seen his hand fly up like, no! Wait! Don't run over me. And that was the beginning of the end of our relationship. Ain't that how it started?
I don't remember that being how it started, but that did happen. She didn't run over me though. Thank the Lord she didn't. But.
So that's funny. That was funny. But that is a real story. But we met at our home church back in Minneapolis. True Rap. We met there, and I would say it was years before I really knew who he was. Like, he was there, unbeknownst to many people outside of ministry. He's a very quiet person. So, yeah, look at that face. Y'all like, what? He's very, very quiet and can get just lost in the sauce. So, yeah, I didn't really know him for 18 years almost. We ran together as youth presidents at our church, and that's when I began to learn him. Like, I knew he had a gift for young people. They just would gravitate to him. They just loved on him. And I had asked him to come and run because the offices were being opened. And so, yeah, he was like, okay, yeah, I'll do it if you run too. And I was like, that wasn't the plan. I like to be in the background. Don't try to put me up in the front. And he was like, well, if you want me to do it, then you have to run too. And I was like, dang it. Okay, fine, I'll do it. So we began to work together, and then he left 6 months later. But in the time between him and I working in that 6 months time, we began to build our relationship there. Okay, sound right?
All right. So there's a couple pieces that are missing. The first piece that's missing is one day my friend Dante, some of you may know him. So me and Gena did meet at the church, that's true. And we were at the same church for about 10 years. What ended up happening was we did end up running together for the youth office, but the part that she left out was before we started talking, before we went out on a date, anything like that, one night, it was around like 11:30. We were
Not true.
Maybe it was 8:30, okay?
Thank you. Change the time.
9:30 probably, you know.
Maybe 6:30.
I can call...
it's very dark in the wintertime.
I can call the phone people and see Sprint and see maybe they got the records from back then. Anyways, so this is when I knew Gena liked me. I had no idea that she liked me, but this is when I knew first time. Right, first. So, Gena was just Gena. I didn't think anything about it, but she called me, I said about 11:30. And she was like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, good. She was like, no, this is in the evening. Okay. It was nighttime. Late in the midnight hour. Anyways, she was like, I want something sweet. I said, what? I said, I think you got the wrong number here, girl. And I'm not lying. I know y'all think I'm joking. If my friend was here, I remember turning to him, Dante, and I was like, I think Gena got the wrong number. Like she must think this is one of them 1-800 numbers or something. I don't know what she thought.
So he's missing reference. If anybody knows him, he loves candy. Loves candy.
I don't work at the candy store though. I'm not 50 Cent. I'll take you to the candy shop. Nah, this wasn't that.
I went to the store and I was like, hey, I know you love sweets. What is something that I can get that's good? Something like that, but he is stretching it right now. Go ahead.
So he wanted to be with Willie Wonka.
Innuendos. That was a major innuendo. So I'm like, at that point, I'm like, man, Dante, I think Gena liked me. So that was really the beginning of me figuring out that she liked me. So we ended up moving. Now, tell them the good part. So Gena ended up breaking up with me. So we were engaged. I proposed to Gena. Anybody a fan of the TV show Martin in here? Martin, right?
You engaged that night? You asked her that night?
No, not that night. I should have. Okay.
So you want to pass out candy at 11:30?
Exactly.
Right.
So
pass out candy at 11:30. It wasn't even Halloween. Come on.
Y'all know how dark it gets. It was like 5:30, and I was getting ready to go to the store, and I was like, I want something sweet. Boom. Now here's the thing. We are working together now. We talk all the time now. So I'm just calling him up because
You didn't talk like that. Let me just be clear. We weren't talking like that.
Anyhow. So that was my initial, so he thinks, and his friend's like, oh, he's like, do you think she liked me? Whatever. So then he's trying to kick his shot. So it was a Sunday school convention I came to. That's
St.
when
Louis.
you tried
Right.
to, shoot your shot.
Right.
So they're trying to say, well, when did y'all start actually dating?
Right.
To all that stuff.
Yeah, that was 1940s. 40.
2009
Oh, okay.
is when it started.
Yeah,
we
2000.
started dating in like 2009 in October. Now he left though,
Yeah.
so we didn't officially start dating until he moved to Connecticut, and I was still in Minnesota.
So
I was very upset that he left because when he left, I couldn't get no more candy.
Come home.
Okay. And now that I had to be the president over the young people, and I did not want to do that.
Right.
I did not want to be in the front. So he left, so I was upset about that. But I was like, okay, I'm a big person on if you prayed about it and God said yes, then my hands are off of it. There's nothing I can do.
So let me give some clarity about why I left. So there was a youth pastor position in Connecticut, which is where we ended up living for 10 years. So I left Minneapolis to take that opportunity out there, and we ended up being in Connecticut for 10 years. But before we get there, so like I was saying about Mark, so we started dating, and then I left, and then we dated maybe for 6 months, because I proposed in February?
You proposed in June.
June, okay. All right. Are you sure?
4 months off.
Yeah, I know. I'm way off. It was 1940 something, man. I forget. Anyways, we ended up, we were dating, and while we were long distance, she was in Minnesota, I was in Connecticut. And I proposed back to the Martin thing, right? If y'all remember how Martin proposed to Gena, right, with Brian McKnight and all of that. So if you remember that episode, she loved Martin. So I did a reenactment of that. I should have, like she said, brought it and put it on here because it was real smooth, real impressive. But I don't want to boast too much, but it was the best thing ever. Yeah, it was the best thing ever. Anyways, so we ended up getting engaged in June, and then when did you break up with me?
I broke up.
Break off our engagement. Let me be more clear.
I broke off the engagement in probably January. Yes.
want to know why, right? Yeah, come on.
I broke off the engagement because Alwyn, before we got together, had dated my best friend. And so...
A second, who made that noise? Somebody was like, wow.
Yeah.
Now, let me just be clear here. I wasn't looking at Gena, so I didn't think anything. I didn't know this was going to come back to get me. Well, actually came back to get her, and through getting her, it got me. So, I wasn't a player or anything. I just crushed a lot. Go ahead.
So he dated my best friend for a while. And so, I had to wrestle with that a little bit. Because I'm like, I'm not a person that intentionally wants to hurt anyone. But I really felt that I was supposed to be married to him. So dealing with that decision was a wrestle in my spirit. And I had to get past that and through that. And I would say that was probably one of the hardest decisions that I had to make in my life. Because I didn't want to disappoint anybody, and I especially didn't want to disappoint God. And so the last prayer I prayed, like he said today, that your feelings can't override your faith. I said, God, if this is really what I'm supposed to do, because when you're breaking up a relationship or a friendship, or you hurt somebody, it's like a divorce. Like you feel it. You feel it strip off of you. You're feeling that come off of you, and it hurts. Like you can't hurt someone and then not hurt you if you really love them. And I was like, Lord, I need a sign. And not only did he give me a sign, but he sent someone to me that baptized me, was there for me when I was like 12 years old. He sent this family back to my life at that time because I was messed up. And he was in Connecticut, and I felt like, you don't understand. You don't have to face this. Like, we go to church together. We did a lot of stuff together. So I was faced with my decision every day. And but God gave me a sign, and I'll never forget it. It was dead winter. And after I broke it off, and I still was feeling conflicted about everything, I looked up early in the morning on my way to work, and God had a rainbow in the sky in the winter time. Now, usually when you see a rainbow, it's because of rain, right? But this rainbow was dead winter, nothing was going on. He said, look up, and I seen the rainbow, and he says, the promises that I have for you are yea and amen. Go. So sometimes when we make the hardest decisions in our life, they don't feel good. They do not feel good because God will take you out of your comfort zone. He'll take you away from certain people that you felt like you were supposed to be with for the rest of your life. But he says, no, if you want to follow my plan, kind of like Abram when he left, you have to, in life, you can't look back. You have to go. And that was very difficult for me because I was used to being in Minneapolis. I was used to my family. I was used to my church family and my friends. And God was saying, no, it's time to go. So that was very difficult for me. So that's why I called it off.
Right. And if my father or sister were here, they'd have a very funny story about you went up to my mom's job to tell them. So our oldest daughter would go to the hub, the hospitality house, and my mom worked there. So while she was up there one day, Gena told my mom that she called off the wedding.
Well, no, I told her that at church.
You told
when
her
I
that
went
okay.
up to the job to get Kay and talk to Mom, I was telling her that I was reconsidering. And she was just looked at me. She didn't say much. She looked at me and she was like
only moms can. The words are in the eyes.
She looked at me and she said, you broke him. Like, you broke him. He's hurt. And she said, I'm going to tell you this. Once he's done, he's done. And I was like, okay.
And but I think it's important that Gena shared that, right? Because sometimes you can find yourself in a very tough place and you feel like you're in a lose-lose situation. If I make this decision, I hurt these people. If I make this decision, I hurt these people, right? In those moments, it's critical to lean into the community that God has placed around you. It's important to pray, right? And it's important to, which honestly, it was uncomfortable for me because I'm like, either it's happening or it ain't happening. But it's important to wait. because you don't want to make a hasty decision and then have to go back and say, okay, I said yes, but the answer is really no, right? I just kind of got ahead of myself, because what's that going to do? Cause more damage, right? So it's better to wait and say, you know what? I'm going to wait until I get clarity on how to move forward, because I don't want to move forward and then move back. I want to keep moving forward. So I would rather wait until you hold up, wait a minute, than to move forward and not be able to do that. And also on my end, even though I didn't know at the time, I feel like it's a cautionary tale to young men, or to men especially, about how you are moving in the world from a relationship standpoint, right? If you're deciding that you're going to be a Christian and you're going to pursue God's will and God's way for your life, it is wiser to say, Lord, show me who you want me to spend the rest of my life with, so I don't leave a trail of broken hearts and bitterness, right? And so I don't buy into the world's definition of masculinity, right? Because the world's definition of masculinity is knock this down, knock this down, knock this down, knock this down, right? It's all about notches on your belt. But the truth of the matter is, each of those notches has a heart. They have families. They got friends. I listen to Dateline sometimes, right? If anybody be watching like Dateline and Forensic Files, listen, you can break some of these people's hearts, and after you done break their heart, now the family coming after you, and they ain't trying to break your heart. Okay, they trying to take you up out of here, because we cannot be reckless and play with people's feelings and emotions, and more importantly, their futures, and expect people to be okay with that. So we also have to raise up our young men and guide them and communicate to them that these are people, and they have hearts, and they have feelings, and they have emotions that matter, and to be more responsible with that. So anyways, Gena came to Minneapolis, and this is a funny part of the story.
You mean Connecticut?
I'm sorry, to Connecticut. So Gena comes to Connecticut, okay? And my dad, okay, who you guys have met, he calls me, and he like, I'm giving you a heads up. Gena's coming to Minneapolis. Gena's coming to Connecticut. She's coming to Connecticut from Minneapolis to win you back. I'm not telling you to open up the door when she get there. I'm just telling you she is coming to Connecticut. And I want you to know, I didn't want you to be blindsided. So when Gena get there, I act like I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So she knocking on the door. I'm like, who is this at my door, right?
First of all, he wouldn't answer any of my calls.
Right.
So he would not talk. Once I broke it off, he was like, I'm not talking to you.
Right.
But he would talk to my daughter.
Yes.
So him and Kaylin still talked. So I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? Because I knew we were coming, because God said go. And so I always tell people, like, what's the craziest thing you did for love? I traveled on 2 planes, a shuttle, and a cab. That's what I say. Me and my child went across the country to get my husband. So we get there, and she's like, Dad, where are you at? You know, Alwyn, she wasn't calling him Dad. Like, where are you at? Da-da-da. And so you didn't know the day, though. You just knew I was coming.
Right. Yeah, he didn't say what
I didn't tell
day.
nobody the day, but I didn't even know he knew. So he held that for a long time.
I did.
That Papa told him, but that's Papa. So only through Kaylin he would talk. So I was like, okay. I knew in my mind I was prepared for whatever. You know, I'm like, listen, if he say no, then back to the hotel we go, and back to Minneapolis we go.
Right.
You know, but I knew I had to face him face to face, because I'm the one that cut everything off. And so we got there like on a Tuesday, and she's texting him like, yeah, like we at your door, and he's playing it cool, like you're not at my door, right, and all this stuff. And she's like, yeah, this street, this.
She started describing the door.
And so he comes down the stairs and he opens the door and he's like, what you here for? And I'm like, okay.
I have been practicing saying that, because I know she's
about to
just coming.
But I was prepared. I was prepared for him not to be like, oh, welcoming. You know what I'm saying? Because I knew it hurt. It hurt. Like he said, it hurt this all the way around. Yeah. So yeah, but he played it good, because I didn't know he did.
She started playing Tank, please don't go, and everything. It was that song wasn't out yet. But part of the reason why we share that story, part of the reason why that is significant, is because Sometimes we think that resistance means that it's not supposed to happen. Sometimes you get in a marriage, you get in a relationship. Come on, parents, somebody say amen. You have kids, and you experience resistance in what you taught them or how you train them, and or you get a new job, right? And God blessed you with the job, and you think because God gave it to you, that means it's going to be easy. But that's not how it works. There are moments where God gives you something, right? Watch me. But you have to fight to keep it. He'll give you the job, but you got to fight to keep it, right? He'll give you the open door, but you have to fight to keep the door open. And somebody might be saying, Alwyn, why does that happen? I wish that I could answer that. It's a different reason it's different reasons depending on the case. But the truth of the matter is, no matter what you have to fight in order to keep the relationship or to keep the job or to raise the kids, what is happening is that challenge is fortifying the relationship. In other words, when you go through we all can attest to this, when your friendships have gone through tough moments and you've made it through, what has it done to the friendship? It solidified the friendship, right? If your family has gone through a tough moment and you've come together, what is the family now? The family is stronger than it was before. So sometimes the resistance is not a sign that it's time to call it off, or the resistance is not a sign that it's time to run away. The resistance is a sign that I have work that needs to be done. And it allows me the opportunity to reevaluate and say, God, you gave this to me, so help me to keep what you gave me. Right? And that's why it's important for all of us to pray and talk to God and say, God, now you may not be ready for this, but there are many times when I say, Lord, if it doesn't come from you, I don't want it. And I say that because if I open up the door, I'm responsible to keep the door open. If I ask for this thing and God gives it to me because I asked, well, I'm in charge of it. I can hold it together or I can make it fall apart. But if God gives it to me, the responsibility is on him, right? The responsibility goes back to him, and I think it's important for us to share. Go ahead.
I just also wanted to add, outside of relationship, it could just be something that you really, really want, right? And then you can say to yourself, if there's resistance, how bad do I want it? Like, what would you do to get what you really feel like you deserve and it's for you to have? So we do it every day. We do it every day. We wake up and we grind every day because it's how bad do you really want it. And God will allow things to happen to see, so you can see yourself in it. Like, if you really want it, what are you willing to go through? What are you willing to go through to get it and maintain it? It could be, some of us we're freedom fighters. We fight for justice. We fight for our children. We fight for our children's children. We fight for our community. How bad do you want it? And when you want it bad enough, the resistance won't be so bad because there's a goal that you're getting to. And for me, my goal was I deserve to be happy. Like, she was married already to my cousin. But I still had to deal with, okay, my feelings. And I think that's another thing that we struggle with in life is how we feel versus, like he said, our faith. How we feel versus what's supposed to be yours. How you feel and what's really feelings and what's fact or what's truth. How do you get past your feelings and dealing with the truth of what's in front of you?
And a structure, right? If we take a look at these two blue beams there, right? And they have those all throughout the building. These you can see, you just can't see all of them. But the truth of the matter is, before those are put in the building, right? Before 2x4s are put in the house, all of those have to be tested, right? There has to be weight and pressure put on them. Now, they're putting the weight and the pressure on them not to break it. They're putting the weight and the pressure on it so that it can go into a place so it can handle the weight. And sometimes it's like that. Sometimes God puts the pressure on. Sometimes he turns up the heat. Sometimes he turns up the pressure to let you know, watch me, you're stronger than you think you are. Your relationship is stronger than you think it is. Your family is stronger than you think it is. Sometimes God will allow situations to happen with your kids where you get the opportunity. Now, it's tough in the moment, but in retrospect, maybe you can say, thank you, God. Well, you can see, wow, the lessons I've been teaching my kids actually have been making a difference. You just see them clowning, but then you get a call from the teacher or you hear about a situation and you're like, wow, they are standing up for themselves. They are being respectful. They are, the prayers that I prayed are really coming to pass, and nothing shows you what you're made of better than a test. Nothing. And I know that ain't nobody ready to shout over that, right? Because all of us want the victory, but we don't want the test. All of us want the success, but I'm in school right now for clinical mental health counseling. I want them to give me this master's degree. Do you hear me? Y'all remember back in the day, Twitter, the fake young black doctor, the young man who was acting like he was a doctor. I want to call him. Where you get your degrees? Okay? Let me just be a fake therapist. All right? Let me just, of course I don't want to do that most days, but some days I do want to do it. And why? What days do I want to do it the most? When I have the most difficult assignments to do. But the assignments are what make you who you are. Completing the task is what make you who you are. And the truth of the matter is, the joy, we have to shift our focus. The joy should not be in the victory. The joy should be in the journey. Because it's the journey that reminds us who we are, but more importantly, the journey reminds us whose we are. So I don't know what's getting ready to happen. I don't know what challenges are coming your way via Christmas or financial challenges or whatever challenge, but I'm telling you, the resistance can be a sign that you're going in the right direction. And to be honest, correct me if I'm wrong, we've been married 1940. Okay, 12 years. We've been married for 12, I was going to say 13. We've been married for 12 years, and we still have challenges in our marriage, right? We still, this morning, okay, I was getting ready to come to church and all that jazz. Gena started yelling at me. I'm telling a story that didn't happen. But we still have disagreements, right? We still see things differently, right? But one of the things that we've lost, not us, but this culture has lost, is people thinking differently and still respecting one another. Like, we've lost the art of, I disagree with you, and that's okay. You are wrong, and that's okay. Okay? Or guess what? I'm wrong, and that's okay. We still can have relationship, right? You voted for this person, I voted for that person. I don't know what's wrong with you that you voted for this person, but I still love you. You're still a part of my family, right? We're living in a culture where if you disagree with something that I do religiously or politically or relationally, well, you don't love me because I voted for somebody that you wouldn't vote for. Or because I posted a meme about something that you don't think is funny or whatever. Why does the whole relationship have to hinge on one decision? Because watch me, none of us should be defined by our worst moments. None of us should be defined, I won't even say mistakes. None of us should be defined by the things that we've done, that if we had them to do again, we would do them differently. Or some of us will say, I would do everything that I've done the same way, still. And guess what? That's okay. Because if we all think alike and operate alike, that's an indication that we're missing out on an opportunity. So I wanted to have this time to share. Did you want to wrap up with something, Gena?
Well, I was just going to add that, all relationships that last are relationships built on forgiveness. Like, in order to get through anything, we have to be able to pardon people and allow each other to be human and to make mistakes, because none of us are perfect. We're learning every day, and we're changing, and we're evolving. And what I liked 5 years ago, I don't like anymore, right? So now, I may have not said that I didn't like that place you took me to because it was at the beginning, but now I can say I don't like that. You want to tell that story?
Yeah, I'll tell it real quick, and then we'll get up out of here. Listen here. Gena had a birthday, was it last year? 2 years ago. So Gena had a birthday, so I'd like to take Gena on some trips for her birthday and for our anniversary. Surprise her still, right? Because even when you're 12 years old, you still need surprises, positive surprises. So I told her that she was going to Minneapolis for her birthday, which Minneapolis is a great place. Gena's birthday is October 18th. Plan a trip in Minneapolis, friends and family, all that, whatever, just to get her off the scent. So anyways, the day of, I woke up, I said, listen, we're going on a trip. I didn't tell her where we went.
So I planned my birthday. I planned my birthday out, y'all. I had a theme, like everything, right? And so my sister was supposed to contact everybody back home. Got it down. And so I'm calling my friends, and they're like, I ain't talked to her. Excuse me? So I'm hot. I'm like, wait a minute now. So I'm talking to Alwyn, like, why isn't Gabby doing what I told her to do? I'm about to be there. I'm
like, I don't know.
So she pops up. I come home
at the house
on Thursday, so she's there. So in my head, I'm thinking, oh,
the party's here,
it's going down. So then I'm calling my friend again. So the friend that I broke everything off with, we're friends.
All of us.
We're all good. We're all good. It took a little time, but we're all good. So I'm calling her, and she like, no, you know. So I think she called him, like, what is going on? So she trying to throw me off.
Right.
So I'm hot. I'm like, I done got outfits. What is happening?
Yep. So I surprised her with a trip to San Diego. So we were in San Diego for 5 days, and we having a good time. One of my friends who lives out there, this had nothing to do with the trip at the last minute. He like, can I come out there with my wife? Yeah, come on. So we had a good time. If you're watching this, I'm sorry, because you ain't never heard this part. But anyways, so man, we had a good time, wonderful time, pictures, beach, all that jazz. Anybody ever been to San Diego? Beautiful, beautiful spot. La Jolla, all that, it's amazing. So man, we on the plane getting back, and I'm just talking about the highlights, all the beautiful stuff, and I'm like, what'd you like the most? You know what Gena said to me? She said, I hated it. It was the worst trip ever. I said, I gotta move seats on this plane here today. Okay, she's like, I hated it. It was terrible. And she was like, I thought that because, am I getting it wrong? She like, I thought that because I had something set in my mind and it was different than what I paid. I said, give me my money back for this trip then, since you hated it, okay?
I did not hate the trip, but what I said was my expectations were different. You led me to believe that I was going to be with my people. So every day I'm thinking somebody's popping up. I am. I'm your best friend. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're not. We established that many years ago that you never wanted to be my best friend. So that stuck with me. So I'm expecting my people to pop up. And I'm like, and it wasn't even my people. Your people pop up. So it wasn't that it wasn't good and it wasn't a great thought, but that was your thought. That wasn't mine. And so when you are in a marriage, you know, sometimes you want to love your spouse how you want to love them, but not how they want to be loved. And so that's what you learn over and over again is, no, love me how I want to be loved. So sometimes you have to sit down and have those conversations. How do you want to be loved? How can I love you? You might hate flowers, so why am I still even spending money on flowers when you hate them? No, find out what they love.
So we're not taking any more trips, of course. Needless to say, I'm joking. We actually have a trip planned this month. Surprise trip, but it's not a surprise for her. It's a surprise for somebody else in our family. So yeah, that's it. That's what we wanted to share today and talk about that. We wanted to talk a little bit about our story and give you some nuggets about that, and also share that part about resistance, because resistance comes with the process. So I'm going to pray, and then I'm going to do a couple more announcements, and then we'll get on out of here. God, we're thankful that we are here and able to share. Thank you that we're able to share who we are and who you've made us and how you created us, our perfections, imperfections and all. Thank you that you love us beyond our imperfections and that you call us to be more like you. Help us to love you and honor you in everything we say, think, and do. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Everybody said,
amen.
Amen. So a couple quick announcements and then we'll get up out of here. Bakari, you can turn.